Hey folks, thanks for watching my channel today. Today I want to talk about why fly fishermen still use bamboo rods and why they still use them today. You know what surprises a lot of people? Not that I fish with a bamboo fly rod. I know a lot of folks that do. But I fish with it here in Florida for bass and for bluegill. Now I've got some pretty expensive rods made by Sage and Orvis. Beautiful rods, light, fast, technically perfect, but they really don't compare. You know, in a world where everything is faster, lighter, stronger, and new and improved, there's something that confuses a lot of people. Why on earth would a fly fisherman still use a bamboo rod? Well, we've got space age graphite, we've got boron, we've got rods so light you forget they're in your hand. So literally, why would anyone reach back over 100 years and fish with a stick of grass? I'll tell you why. Because bamboo isn't about efficiency. It's about feel. Back in the golden age of fly fishing, craftsmen like Hiram Leonard and E.C. Powell, they weren't building fishing rods. They were building instruments. And when you step into a trout stream with a bamboo rod, you're stepping into the same water that Theodore Gordon waded. You're casting in the tradition that writers like Ernest Hemingway romanticized. And you're slowing down in a sport that's been speeding up for decades. And in a world of forward-facing sonar, high modulus graphite, and overnight shipping, slowing down really matters. Bamboo rods aren't mass-produced. Many are still built one at a time. Some take 40, 60, and even 100 hours to complete. They aren't cheap. They aren't trendy, but they are intentional. You don't buy a bamboo rod because it's the most practical choice. You buy it because when that trout rises and your line unrolls in perfect rhythm and the rod bends into a deep golden arc against the evening light, you feel something modern gear cannot manufacture. Tradition, craftsmanship, patience, and maybe even a little humility. A bamboo rod is a split cane, 6 strips of Tonkin bamboo, hand-planed, glued, wrapped, and finished by someone who understands taper the way a violin maker understands tone. There's something about bamboo that graphite cannot imitate. It breathes. And when I lay out a popper along a lily pad edge for a Florida largemouth, that bamboo rod loads deep, all the way into the cork. It doesn't snap the line forward, it rolls it forward. It feels like the rod is part of the cast instead of just a lever. And when a 2-pound bluegill, and you Florida boys know how hard they pull, when it digs down deep and starts that slow, stubborn spin, that bamboo bends into a full golden arc. It cushions, it protects, and it talks to you. Years ago, when I lived in Ohio, I belonged to one of the oldest trout clubs in the state. Those cold mornings chasing rainbows and browns, that's where I fell totally in love with bamboo. My brother had a place out in Montana, and I used to visit him out there and fish the Kankakee River. And we'd fish for native brook trout. They weren't very big, but they really were fun for catching. And there's nothing like watching a rainbow trout sip a dry fly in a glassy current, or feeling a brown trout surge downstream in cold water. Bamboo was made for that. It was made for that kind of fishing. Delicate presentations, light tippets, rhythm, overpower. But here's what most folks don't realize. Bamboo isn't just for trout streams in Montana or in Ohio. It shines on a farm pond in July. It shines on a Florida lake at sunrise. And it shines when a bass explodes on a deer-hair jig, deer-hair bug. In fact, bass and bluegill might be the perfect fish for bamboo. They're close, they're visual, they're extremely aggressive, and bamboo turns every strike into an experience instead of just an event. Graphite rods are fast, efficient, and precise, but bamboo slows you down in the best possible way. It makes you wait on the back cast. It makes you feel the load, and it makes you fish instead of just cast. At this stage of my life, I'm not in a hurry anymore. I'm not trying to throw the tightest loop or the longest cast. I'm trying to feel the moment. And bamboo gives me that. It connects my bass fishing in Florida to those trout streams in Ohio and Pennsylvania. It connects bluegill beds in spring to rainbows rising in October. Most of all, it connects today to yesterday. And I've learned something after all these years. The fish don't care what the rod is made of, but you will. Because when that rod bends deep, whether it's a brown trout in a cold Pennsylvania stream or a Florida bass crushing a popper, bamboo makes you feel every heartbeat. And that's why I still reach for a rod made out of grass. Thanks for watching, folks.